Hi guys, the Corfab British Minibikes Championship starts this month, the Super 1 British Karting Championships next month, and for all of you guys taking part, particularly the children, I just wanted to say a few things for you all to think about. Just some considerations for you. I've got four main topics to talk about, and the first one is never forget why you started racing in the first place. It was because it was fun. All too quickly, increasing talent can give rise to amnesia, forgetting why you started racing in the first place. In a race with 34 people, 33 have to lose. So disappointment is something you'll experience a lot. Be prepared to fail, because failure is absolutely inevitable. Only in failure will you find your real character. It's easy to be all singing, all dancing when things are going well. But what do you do when things are going badly? Do you curl up in a ball, or do you show some real grit and determination? In failure, and only in failure, is where your true character will be revealed. It doesn't matter who you are, from the likes of Thomas Edison, Einstein, Muhammad Ali, and in motorsport we think of Lewis Hamilton, Valentino Rossi, Marc Marquez. All of these people in history have had to experience and deal with failure, and how they dealt with that failure says a lot about their character, and it shapes how we think about them today. We think of them as winners, but they experienced a lot of failure. So just be prepared for failure, and make sure that you understand that's going to be inevitable, but you can learn from it, and what you learn from it will make you a better driver, a better rider, a better competitor in the long term. So just think of this as well, sometimes to achieve a different result you have to try something different. To get something you've never had, well, you have to perhaps do something you never have done before. So just remember that. It's really important. Secondly, on my list of four is dream big but work hard. Denzel Washington, in a speech, touched on this at a university campus recently. He said, dreams without goals, without hard work and discipline, are just dreams, and ultimately will fuel disappointment. So dream big but work hard, and always remember, it's not just about working long hours. Just because you work long hours doesn't necessarily mean that you're making the best use of your time. Make sure that you're always on the lookout for knowledge, always trying to learn something new, and always bear this in mind as well. If you're messing around, playing around and not taking it seriously, there will be another driver on that grid, multiple drivers on that grid, another rider on that grid, multiple riders on that grid, who are working harder than you at, guess what, beating you. So always dream big but work hard. Always be prepared to work hard. Try and learn something new always. Always have a realistic goal as well. Now, a realistic goal for you coming into the Super 1 British Karting Championships for the first time, maybe just not coming last. Same with the Corfab British Minibikes Championship. Even more difficult in that championship because there's no club meetings like there are in karting. You can't go to your local Minibikes club meeting. There isn't one. There is only a national championship, and it tours around the country. So when you come into the championship for the first time, yes, there are places you can go and practice, but there's nothing better than actual racing for learning. And in the Corfab British Minibikes Championship, of course, you really have to learn, and we've said this before in commentary, on the job. So always be prepared to work hard, have a realistic goal for yourself, whether that's just not coming last, coming in, whether you want to come in the top 20, top 10 in British Karting Championships on a grid of 6, if there were 60 competing, just making that televised final, the final televised race, the A final, can be a realistic goal for many of you. Listen, for some of you, you may be racing in the championships for the first time and think, you know what, I can win this thing. And if you think that's a realistic goal from you or for you, then great, then embrace that. will always have a realistic goal, not something that's unrealistic. Don't just think you're going to come into things for the first time and you're just going to blow everybody away and you're going to win everything. Have a realistic goal and look at increasing those goals as time goes by. Define what you believe is success for yourself. That's really important. Experience, knowledge and talent grows, and as it does, so will your goals. So as your goals increase, then just by definition your success will increase, because you're getting better, so you're making your goals that much greater. But always have realistic goals. So dream big but work hard. That's number 2 on the list. The third thing, embrace change and be prepared to try something new. Whenever I race with my son, we'd have a great go out for a practice session. The kart would be fantastic. It'd be the fastest on the watch. He'd come in and I'd say, "How was that?" "Yeah, great. Don't touch it." "Yeah, well, I was just going to take the rear bar out because it looks like you." "Don't touch it. I'm telling you now. Seriously, don't touch it." I'd have to send him for an ice cream so I could make a change. Then he'd go out. It would be slightly quicker. He'd come back in, and I would say, "Was that better?" And he'd say, "Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was slightly better. I think it's a bit warmer, so conditions are a little bit better." "Yeah, but that's because I made a change that you didn't know about." And I'd always rejoice in telling him that. But always be prepared to embrace change, because change may lead to a benefit that you'd not thought about. So embrace change, embrace new, embrace different. That's the third thing on the list. And finally, and this is perhaps the most important thing coming into the championship this year, it's remain humble. Give thanks for the things in your life, kids, that other kids just don't have. Your parents in one weekend, in many cases, at whatever level you're racing at, whether it's club level or national championship level, in some cases your parents are spending more on you in a weekend than some kids will have spent on them in 10 years of birthdays and Christmases. Now you might think that's a load of rubbish. I can tell you that is an absolute fact. If you're racing in motorsport as a child, you are in a position of privilege. So always give thanks to your parents who invest the money in making sure that you have a great time. And yes, I know that they don't have to do it, and they do it because it's something they're doing with you, and it's something you can enjoy together. But always give thanks to the amount of investment that your parents are making in you. Not necessarily because you're going to have a future in motorsport. You may well do that. But in a lot of cases it's because the parents think that this is something you're going to enjoy and you're going to enjoy together. And the other thing, from the parents' point of view, I want to say this to the parents watching. Over the years I have seen the best and the worst of parents. I would always tell my son when he left the grid, the last thing I would tell him is that I loved him. It's the last thing I always told him. And I always felt that that was really important, for the obvious reasons I don't want to discuss on here, but you parents will know what I'm talking about. You never know in motorsport what can happen. I've seen some kids treated absolutely disgracefully by parents because they didn't win, because they didn't achieve what the parent thought they should have achieved. That's never good to see. I've also seen parents who, when the kids had a bad result, he'd come in, he's disappointed. They give them a big hug, tell them, listen, it's not that important in the wider scheme of life and the wider scheme of things. We get it right next time, and we'll have a better weekend next time. That's something I believe in a lot. I think parents should do a lot more of that, and I know a lot of you do, but I also know some of you don't. And what I would say to those of you that don't is just rein things in a little bit when things don't go your child's way, because think of this: your child, more than anything, is trying to win because he knows if he wins, his dad, his mum, his parents his granddad, his grandma are going to be really proud of him. Kids know that, and that's what they're trying to do. They're not trying to have a bad day, fall off a bike or crash a car. They're trying to do things to please you. That's what they're trying to do. So please, please remember that. Those are my 4 things to think about in 2018. I hope you will embrace them all. Just want to finish by saying good luck to all of you, whether you're racing in the Coolfab British Minibikes Championship or the Super 1 British Karting Championships. I look forward to seeing you all at the opening round. Come and say hi. See you then.